Hello, hello. I see two viewers viewing us, but feel free to jump into the live version. Otherwise, there's no conversation. See Patrick trying to join us. I see two separate viewers, but if you could jump out of just watching the live stream and actually join us live, we'll be in better shape. Dun, dun. See Daniel.
Hey.
We're waiting for Patrick, I think, is going to try and join us here in a second.
All right.
I think there's one or two others that are watching passively. But in the meanwhile, we'll enjoy your wall art.
Oh yeah, it's my lovely wall art. I recently redid my I got a new desk, so everything's kind of tilted the other way. So now you're not staring at my closet.
Is that your proof of Fermat's last theorem on the wall back there?
Which one?
It's the one. Well, the one with writing on it, obviously. I don't think the deer or the wolf are going to cut it, really.
That's my bachelor's degree, actually. I don't know why it's on the wall. It was something to hang up.
I got one of those ages ago. I really ought to hang mine up, I guess.
It looks nice, I think. That's why I did it. I didn't have anything up on the walls like a month ago. So I just started hanging random stuff up.
Yeah, that's my problem. Is I hang stuff up like 6 months before I move into a new house or, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's always a problem. Never can win.
Yeah. So right now I just started learning. I was attempting to learn how to program with C++. I somehow managed. I was doing Project Euler. I don't know. I guess maybe you know that. I don't know how I managed this, but I managed to actually get the solution where I'm only adding things, positive integers, and end up with a negative integer. And I don't think I'm overflowing or anything. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
I broke it, I think.
Yeah. When you can't even add, you're in trouble.
Oh well.
One of these days they'll just start teaching, first graders how to program.
Yeah. I mean, I can program with. I just apparently not with C++.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, it's not even. I'm just doing like 2 for loops with, and it's a neg. I don't. I don't know.
Sounds pretty simple too if you've stripped everything out. Comment out every line but what you're doing and see what pops up.
Yeah.
Um, well, it looks too like we've had Dr. Matthews join us as well.
Howdy.
He probably doesn't know he's on mute, I think, when he joined. So if he wants to unmute, he can chat with us. But he had sent me an email a week or two ago saying he was starting into Chapter 5 and just noticed, coincidentally, that we were in existence. So maybe he'll either turn on a camera or turn off his. I guess I could probably turn off his, unmute his microphone. I guess maybe, I don't know. Maybe not.
Maybe.
And poor Patrick seems to still be trying to join us, I think. I'm not sure what's going on. So I'll send out one last invite, and maybe we'll have one or two more. I didn't see a note from Rama this week, so I don't know if he's joining us.
Okay.
He may be doing some last-minute stuff, but I had notes from Steve Shaw and Max, who I think missed last week, but was potentially joining us this week. All right. Well, hopefully Patrick will join us here in a few minutes when he can figure it out. But I don't know if anybody listening or paying attention or wants to throw something into the instant message queue. I saw one question this week, I think, posted to the site.
Oh wow.
It was from last week's material, I think.
About category theory.
It was a question about graph homomorphism that I think got as soon as it posted it got a quick response, which was nice to see.
Yeah, I haven't been keeping up with the website too much, to be honest. I forgot about it until you mentioned it.
Yeah, I check it maybe, well, because it's running on my domain, usually I see a couple pop-up email notifications. Although people that post questions doesn't necessarily... the handful of people that I know who know how to use the site well, and then I'm not worried about spam, are authorized to post directly to it.
Yeah.
But everything else I think queues up, and for some reason I thought I set it up to send me a message to notify me of posts, but apparently it didn't, or I must have missed it. But I usually check it 2 or 3 times during the week, and I think I didn't see the post until like 2 days later, or 3 days later. But then as soon as I posted it, literally 5 minutes later, somebody answered the question, I think. So, and it was somebody who has been us on video regularly, so that was kind of nice. That, one of the 30 other people who's kind of lurking in the background is paying attention. So, oh, hey, Aaron.
His mic's not working.
Oh, bummer.
Or I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
He looks like he's trying to figure it out, though.
Oh.
Maybe we can do something on our end. course, watch my computer freeze up completely and I'll get into trouble now.
Yeah.
I've been having bandwidth issues off and on all day.
That's not good.
Well, just like every now and then, Comcast decides to
Oh no, not Comcast.
just to, you know,
Yeah.
dicker with the signal and turn it off and then turn it back on. So
Maybe like joining something. Like throttle your network.
something that's, but it's not like I'm running anything crazy or heavy duty lately on my network, so I don't know what's going on. Although I will admit my Chrome windows just all froze simultaneously, so I'm not sure what the deal is.
Nice.
So if I disappear for a minute, hopefully I'll be able to log back on quickly, and the live stream will keep recording, I think, for 5 minutes without me.
Oh boy, I think that.
In hopes that I'll come back.
Right.
Which is, a nice thing, I guess, built into. So did you have any issues? Did you make it all the way through to the beginning of chapter 5?
I made it through the section 4, and I was reading like half of section 5.
Yeah.
It was interesting enough. With the databases and everything, it's definitely I didn't really think about it that way, but yeah, I can see how the category theory stuff goes into that.
Yeah. It was nice to see some of the flavor, but I think I did what I promised I would do last week. Was I kind of skimmed through it and didn't really.
Yeah.
I'm in it more for the pure math and the applied, or at least the applied computer science part. So.
Right. I'd read his on the open courseware on his syllabus. He goes and he says that that this class is kind of like an experiment, and that he's just trying to get a bunch of people to, come up with examples to why category theory is useful, and then he put it in a book.
Yeah.
Where he had written a book and then he added the examples to the book, and it's just kind of not really necessarily directly applicable, but it's just more of like a way of thinking about different things.
Yeah. Well, I think this too is to my knowledge, the only book on the market that has kind of an applied flavor.
Yeah.
Going on. And all the rest are pure math books for the sake of pure math books.
Yeah.
So,
I think I was reading this and I remember having one question about cliques.
Yeah.
I don't know how you pronounce that. A clique. It's a subset such that for each A and B you have the order on those points. So all the points are basically less than each other, right? So would this correspond to maybe like a cycle on a graph where they're all pointing to each other? Or would they all the points would actually have to have arrows to each other, right?
Yeah, I would assume so. Or at least because this is it's the first time I think I've ever seen that.
Yeah.
Concept defined or one way or the other in a math setting. I'd seen most of the other, the order related stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think too if it was. I'm guessing I've probably seen it in a set theoretic setting, and possibly somewhere in a topology book, and occasionally bits and pieces of that stuff in some analysis stuff. But I've never seen a clique defined anywhere else in any other setting, so I'm not sure. That was one of the ones I had to play around with a little more than some of the others, and I'm not quite sure I have internalized it.
So Here he just defines it as, okay, it's some subset where everything is A less than equal to B, right? So that means
Yeah.
basically every single element is less than equal to every other element, or ordered in whatever, however you want to call your order. I'm not sure the standard terminology when you only have partial order.
Yeah.
Um, so if, I don't know.
Well, it's for a pre-order too, which is the
Yeah.
other half of the
Yeah.
definition, I guess. So I guess if you think of it as a pecking order in high school, and you got a line of people with, the popular kid at the top, all the kids underneath, all the kids and underneath the popular kid, including the popular kid, make a clique. Um, but only when it's when S is a pre-order.
Right. And I guess you would say that all the like a partial and a linear order are also pre-orders, right?
Yeah.
Just more restrictive, like groups are monoids and all that.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
I'm kind of hoping once he gets into chapter 5, he actually starts using some of this stuff, and then it'll
Maybe
have a little bit more concrete feeling, hopefully.
he starts getting into some. I briefly looked at. He defines category, whether or not that's the actual categorical definition or not, but he defines something that calls a category. So that'll be nice, I suppose. Finally.
Wouldn't it be?
Yeah. I think cycle is enough to make it a click.
Bonkers.
Yeah, I guess so. Um,
Yeah, this was one of the few times I don't think. I'm kind of skimming through here to see if he had any good, serious. Uh,
right, yeah,
any
transitivity.
serious examples. But I didn't see any. And I'm trying to pull a book or two off the shelf to see if anybody else finds it. Or defines it differently. That was the one thing I didn't do was cross-reference it with any set theory or topology books.
I didn't do it either, so.
Well, I'm getting lazy here through some of this stuff that I've at least seen once or twice before, in
Right.
hopes that things will actually turn into some fun stuff. Although this week I did read about a third of Eugenia Cheng's new book,
Which one's that?
the How to Bake Pie. She's a category theorist from, I want to say she was at Cambridge, and now she's at University of Chicago, or in Chicago. I think she moved in the last year. But she's got a popular science book that just came out in the last like 2 months that kind of uses cooking and baking as a kind of entree, haha, no pun intended, into, and that's entree with two E's and not one,
All right.
into kind of abstract math and then into category theory. So she spends like the first third of the book is, she's discussing abstract chunks of math. Which is, fairly entertaining. And it's the kind of stuff you wish you'd read and knew about in high school before you got into advanced math. And,
Right.
beat your head against the wall a lot.
Yeah, I think there's a. I didn't even in college. I didn't know what I was getting into when I until like second. I think my second or third year,
Yeah.
and then
Well, what class was it that you were taking that finally put you over the edge?
well, I think it was the. I mean, well, once I took a proofs class, it kind of everything. I mean, I guess that's the way it goes. Kind of changed my thinking.
Okay. You got sucked in at that point. Okay.
Yeah. But like actual going into math, I decided to go into math after taking a business calc class, and then who knows why? I don't know. I think I, I can't even tell you. I just decided I was going to do it. Um, yeah, that I have no idea, to be honest. But once I did the proofs, and I was like, okay, this is cool, and this is completely different than calculus, or at least the computing integrals or whatever. This is interesting. She gets a. Apparently, she likes to bake. Just found what was this cake, custard, and category theory?
Yeah, yeah. The cake, custard, and category thing. It was I think that was the British title, and that got released in the U.S. or in Britain first,
I
and then
see.
they retitled it for the U.S. market.
I gotcha.
If that makes sense, which happens quite a bit, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
So let's see. I guess other things I was looking at in this chapter or in this section. So he defines meats and joins with the caret symbol and the V.
yeah.
Is this a standard notation for a meat and join? I mean, don't these also represent some other things? I'm not sure. I guess it depends on context. Or do you know if they're like just always called meats and joins, or there's like, I mean, sometimes you see this as like the maximum of the two numbers in probability, or you'll have like exterior products or the and symbol, or I'm just trying to figure out if this is a standard kind of idea. What is this? Meat. Awesome.
So you still there?
Hey, welcome back.
Much better. I don't know what the heck's going on with my bandwidth, but all my windows had frozen up for about 5 minutes, and I knew I was going to have to fix them sooner or later. So, You were asking about meets and joins. I want to say I've run into this somewhere before.
I just
Some
looked
other
on
context,
Wikipedia.
but I've never had a reason to physically use it.
Right. I guess if you studied a lot of order stuff, and you would get into this, right? It says approach of special interest for category theoretic investigations of whatever. I don't know. So they're basically like like in analysis or all that, they'd be like supremums and infimums. I'm guessing, and then
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
because it says like largest upper bound and least, or least upper bound and largest lower bound. I mean, for the most part, I think that this section again was kind of intuitive. I mean, especially tying it to graph theory. I mean, makes everything a bit easier. I feel because you just think of, okay, it's a meet. Okay, that's where all the arrows point to. It's a joint, or sorry, other way, right? The join is where all the arrows point to, and meet is thing that all the arrows stem from.
Yeah.
Kind of ish.
Well, it kind of reminded me too. Most of this stuff is stuff I've seen before in other settings. And it's interesting to see his presentation of it. But he also seems to go into far more detail than I have ever seen on some of this stuff in other settings.
Yeah.
Which to me is actually kind of cool. His 20 pages on monoids was possibly, in fact, it was a lot. It was a little much. Whereas most books I've seen, if they even can squeeze out a whole page of monoids, they seem to be, exhausting the topic.
Right.
So I'm not quite sure how he pulled off, 20 pages worth. But he kind of does a little bit of the same thing here and goes into more detail. And intuitively, I guess I understand his kind of card description version.
Was this the what was his? Was this a graph or was it a O-log? It was an O-log card, right? Of like playing cards? Or are you talking about something else?
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Okay.
However that works out.
Yeah, I used a different laptop.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so where are you guys at? Sorry, I missed some part of it because I was trying to get the other laptop and get everything fixed.
That's fun. So, I don't know where Chris went.
No, what are you guys working on right now? Are you looking at a particular?
We were just kind of discussing some general things, and then I think I don't know, maybe vanished.
Oh, okay.
So I think his internet's being a little messy right now.
I see.
We were talking about basically just the section on orders and what exactly was it again? Let me see. I mean, really, it was more kind of just a general meta kind of discussion about what we've been doing.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Not any specific exercises yet. Honestly, I think this section was more of kind of intuitive, I think, than some of the other stuff. Just because you can tie everything together with all the graph theory, which I feel it's always nice to have a little visual representation of everything.
Yeah.
He gives a lot of pretty pictures.
Yeah. Yeah, as the meets and joins, I think there. I don't know whether the book was correct or I think there was some mistake in the book. I had to go and find out whether the meets and join thing was correct or not.
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, welcome back again.
I don't know what keeps happening. My system just freezes up. Usually it freezes up and it keeps running and I can at least hear everyone, but I don't know what's going on today. Except that it's driving me bonkers. But I see we at least have one other.
Yeah, I'm here, and now you guys can hear me now. So that's good.
Welcome to the gang.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Usually about four or five others, but every week I guess it depends on everybody's work schedule, and there's a few people who have time zone issues.
Yeah, okay. Now this works out reasonably well for me because I am on the Pacific Coast. I am in Seattle. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say probably about half of everybody, at least paying half attention, is on the West Coast.
Okay.
There's 4 or 5 people, I think, on the East Coast. And then there's a handful in Europe, 2 or 3 in Australia.
I'm in Texas.
Some sporadic people here and there, spread out otherwise. But it's been interesting to see who participates from where and how. So,
do guys actually join from Australia? What time is it in Australia now? Early morning or something?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's early mornings. Steve Shaw joined us last week, although I think he had the same audio issues you did, and I think he was calling in from a hotel, so he probably also had spotty bandwidth to boot.
Right.
In fact, for some reason my Windows Chrome has crashed on me again, and it's not letting me do anything. But I don't even know if it'll let you guys do it. But if you can click on the add a person at the top and see if you can add Patrick O'Neill again. He was having problems joining us, and I know he's listening alone, although probably half a minute behind us.
Add person? I don't see an add person.
Oh, in the top of the window, if you hover your mouse at the top of the video window, there's a mute button, a camera button, a bandwidth button, and right next to the mute button there should be an add a person button.
I think that's only for you.
It's only for me?
Yeah, I don't see it either.
The problem, too, is I've got 2 computers here, but for some reason I can't. It's not letting me log in from the other, and I'm not sure why. Yeah. I'm trying to fix that while we chat, and it's I'm doing too many things at once as the host, I guess. I can't pay attention to thoughts of category theory while I'm doing that. So I take it from your email, though, Ron, you're a half step ahead of us.
Yeah, little ahead of us. But chapter 5 is like you were saying. I think chapter 5 is the interesting chapter. I mean, all the interesting stuff starts from there. So some of them, it took me a little while to figure out what's going on, especially the functors and things like that. And there I have some things that are not clear to me. So once you guys reach there, I think I'll ask the questions that I have.
Yeah.
So it's good. I'm waiting for you guys for us to get to chapter 5 so I can ask.
The other option that seems fairly good, too, and it's the only other place that I see conversations surrounding category theory on the web, is through Stack Exchange. So there's a set of category theory pages on Stack Exchange that if you run into something hairy...
Mm-hmm. So there are category theory pages specifically in Stack Exchange? Okay, so I can search that and find out, I guess.
And he just vanished again.
Oh, yeah, he's gone now.
I guess his computer crashed again.
Since you're here, I think I watched when I watched a couple of earlier videos. I saw you showing the pages in the book, but not actually in the book, in the computer itself. So you have like a soft copy of the book, like.
Um, so there's a few ways to get a soft copy. One is on that they have an old version on OpenCourseWare. There's
Oh
actually
yeah, that MIT one, right? Yeah, I saw that, but that's a little old, right? That's the older version.
you can get some newer ones, but it's I mean here let me if you let me see. I'm trying to think of the best way to. So that wasn't actually my my version. Like I think that was Chris hosting on the web.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But I mean, you can. There's some like online book repositories that aren't. I don't know how legal they are or not, but.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, I thought when you buy the book, some book publishers, if you buy the book, they give you a soft copy also. So
I'm not sure how he got his. I don't.
Oh,
I mean, I have the book. I mean,
yeah. I know that. I think there's like an HTML version that I found through the book resources page from here itself. That there was an HTML free HTML version or something. So I saw that.
you can. Yeah.
But I have the actual physical copy also. But because the reason I was asking is because I went to the errata page. There is a link to the errata page which has like all the mistakes that are there in the book, and in that he mentions that he fixed it in the dynamic version. So I was trying to find out what dynamic version is.
There's I mean, I know there's a Kindle version of it.
Uh-huh.
So that might be.
That may be it. Yeah. Okay.
I think the dynamic version was there was one version that he links to from his course page when he taught it as a class.
Okay.
And the link from the course page to whatever PDF is there, I think is what he's calling the dynamic version, as I remember. It's been a couple weeks. But I get the impression that he wrote the book and maybe taught it once or twice as a class on the side. And then one of the options he gave some students for kind of a final exam or kind of homework, you either could do a presentation or you could solve a whole bunch of problems in the book and give him the solutions. And I think he used that to actually supplement what he published in the book to provide solutions for more examples. So he kind of outsourced writing some of the book to his students in some sense. So there's that. But then I had gotten, I think it's MIT Press published it. So there's an archive.org version. There's his class version, which are roughly the same, I think.
Okay.
And then the publisher sent me a copy as a desk copy, essentially. That's got more stuff. And then, of course, there's always like the Russian black market in a sense.
I see. Okay.
Although, I think big chunks of that Russian black market have been slowly shutting down over the summer. I haven't heard any news about what's going on or why. But a bunch of the library Genesis mirrors have been disappearing.
Okay.
Which is quirky. So if you dig around, you're prone to find something. But I think he essentially open sourced everything relating to the book. So
Yeah. From the books page, I saw a link to like the HTML version, and also so that's why I was asking, because in the errata it says like, yeah, this is fixed in dynamic version. So I was trying to find out what dynamic version is where things are fixed.
Yeah. But I think the dynamic version he's talking about is purely the one that links from the class web page that he was teaching.
Okay. So, but that's an earlier version, right? I thought the book is like a later version of that. Maybe.
My guess is actually his dynamic version is probably slightly more up to date than the printed book version.
Book version, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Continually update it versus. Now, whether he's actively doing that since it got published, I don't know. I haven't really compared the two.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So he's keeping on updating the linked PDF with all the changes. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
And I think I got cut off earlier, but I was going to say I don't know how much of it you caught before I got dumped, but Stack Exchange has a pretty good category theory section that you should be able to post questions to if you get stuck. And I found, most of the people posting to it are asking some pretty knucklehead questions, so.
No, okay.
You can't possibly be embarrassed.
Okay, I think I will try that because there are a couple of things that I'm not I got confused by in the chapter 5. So.
Yeah. Well, I've had a Google search or a Google alert set up for the last couple of months for category theory. And 98% of anybody mentioning category theory on the web, besides the group of the 10 of us or so, is Stack Exchange.
Okay.
So there's nobody else out there seemingly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not stuck enough on anything prior to chapter 5 at this point, I think.
Okay.
So unless you guys have big crazy issues or problems, we can jump into the beginning of chapter 5. The big question, I guess, is should we do just the first section or should we do the first 2 sections?
How many pages is it? Let me
That's
look.
what I was looking up right now too. Is
20. The first one's like 20-something pages.
Oh, even more than that. It's almost, the first section is almost 40 pages.
Oh, oh, maybe just one section.
5.1 and 5.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Almost
Categories
70
and
pages.
functions, because that's
Yeah.
categories and functions, right? Yeah, that is actually a good section. So we should do that first and then go to the next one, I guess.
So let's set as a target getting through all of section 5.1, but with the caveat that if we don't get all the way through it, we can finish it off with a little bit of 5.2 the following week. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I want to get to the category of categories at the end of 5.1 personally.
yeah, that's an interesting concept.
Because this seems to be where all the fun's actually happening.
I had taken a class very briefly on algebraic topology, and there was something. I think you started doing some category stuff, and I don't remember any of it. And to me, it just seemed so general. And the only question I really had to myself after taking it was, okay, what's the next step after category? How do we generalize that?
Yeah.
Like, where do we stop?
Well, I think to me that was one of the interesting parts of Eugenia Cheng's book thus far is, she describes how people have issues with levels of abstraction and how good they are or aren't at doing that. And in fact, a handful of, I live 10 minutes from Caltech, so I've asked at least 4 or 5 professors either of math or computer science that I've run into there, as well as a few others at USC and UCLA. And, they all kind of shake their hands or wave their hands at it and say, oh, it's an interesting area, but blah, blah, blah. And I get the impression that nobody has really spent the time to work on the abstract portion of what it is, much less the applied portion. And in digging around, I've only seen like 4 or 5 syllabi online of university professors even teaching courses in it, much less,
Hmm.
you know, the half a dozen. I don't even think there's a half a dozen good books out there. I think there's only like 4 or 5. This one's the only applied book, and then there's maybe 2 books that have I haven't looked at that have computer science in their titles.
I guess it is kind of a relatively new subject too.
Well,
I mean, most
what's his name's book? The quote unquote Bible goes back to 1990, I think.
yeah, it's 20 years ago.
So it's not, I guess it's new, but not that new.
Right, right.
Um, I guess in the field of math, that's actually probably so brand new it's not even funny. But I've been looking at catalogs for the 3 big research universities near me for the last 5 years. I don't think I've seen anybody even offering a course in any of these places on category theory. So
Yeah, that is strange. I mean, I thought category theory became very popular in the past, I don't know, few years. So,
Maybe you'll have to go to like into something with algebraic, like geometry or topology or something, and they probably use
yeah.
it.
Well, I think that's the nice part about this book in particular is it, and the reason he's doing such basic stuff. He gets into some heavy basic set theory stuff and some really basic algebraic, you know, things like monoids and groups, and simple things like isomorphisms and homomorphisms so heavily. He's trying to take the level of abstraction way down and make a relatively complete textbook. Because usually you'd have to have 2 or 3 graduate level courses before you could even get into what we're about to start next week. So he's brought the level of the subject down to advanced undergraduate at the very, worst, um, which is kind of nice that the hurdle has come way down. So I have a feeling in the next 5 years you'll see a lot more places teaching it.
yeah, that's what I kind of liked about the book also. That he starts from the very
And the fact that Angela Cheng now has a book that an average high school student can read. That, you know,
How do you like the
listen.
book? I have the book. I haven't started it, but how do you like it so far?
I had it on my list since it came out, and I just started reading it on Saturday, and I'm about a third of the way through it. Um, it's I don't think there's anything I've learned from it thus far that I didn't already know.
Okay.
But I am struck by the fact that I wish it's something that I had read 20 years ago when I was in high school, before I spent the last decade beating my head up against the wall trying to do all this advanced abstract level math.
Hmm. Okay.
So it is nice. It's nice from that perspective. It's kind of like, where were you 2 decades ago?
Yeah.
It's kind of, I'm trying to think of probably the closest thing I can think of. Terrence Tao wrote a book on math and problem solving in the mid 90s, I think, early 2000s. I can't remember the title. Um, but this is the closest thing to that I think that I've read that talks about kind of philosophies of solving problems and what abstract math is without actually spending 5 years, doing abstract math to figure it out.
Hmm. I see.
So from that perspective, it's kind of interesting. So, give it to your brothers and sisters, and then they'll understand what the hell you're doing in your life. That's, I was like, yeah, I could maybe give this to my mom, and then she'll understand what I'm doing or why. So,
Okay.
but I'm more curious to plow through the rest of it this week to get into some of the category theoretic stuff that she tangentially talks about, but I don't think she's, like most books at this level, they're she's got 10 times more recipes in the book than she's got mathematical equations. But there actually are at least a couple basic, and I would say they're at the level of like high school algebra equations. So I think I think that the hardest thing I think she's written out as an equation thus far is the quadratic equation,
Oh wow.
which isn't saying much,
Yeah.
obviously. So
Well, it is I guess a pop culture math kind of thing, right? So it's not.
oh yeah, and then usually the rule of thumb in that area of publishing is the the more equations you put in, for each equation you put in, you cut your readership by half.
Okay.
And so I think they actually let her put in 3 more equations than they otherwise would have, solely because she's got cakes and pies and custards as like the lead piece rather than the math piece. But it is pretty well written for a popular science book. So.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it'll help me see a little more of the forest for all the trees as we get into the next 2 chapters. So see what happens. All right. Well, that's all I got. You guys, any other pressing, burning questions?
On orders, I think I mostly got everything out of this section. I don't remember there being anything too bad. Let me see.
I mean, I haven't really read all of section 4.5, and I might get to it before, but I think I'm just skipping straight to chapter 5 at this point. I'll come back and skim through it, I guess. But I was kind of looking back too at I don't even think Monkrus's topology book spent as much time on orders as he does in this chapter.
Yeah, so no, I don't have anything. Next week I might show up. Again, I'll be in North Carolina for a conference or workshop thing.
Which Carolina?
I think it's north. Wherever Durham is. Durham?
Yeah, that's north. That's north.
There's an H in there, but don't pronounce it. You'll look at your phone.
Okay. It makes some people angry.
Well, most of them out there are rednecks already, so.
I live in Texas right now, so.
Okay.
Oh, where exactly are you?
DFW, Fort Worth, right now.
DFW, okay.
So near the middle, or ish, wherever, somewhere up there.
Yeah.
Where's your accent?
I'm going to this SAMC. I think it's SAMC, Computational Neuroscience Conference or workshop, which hopefully will be interesting enough.
Well, that sounds like fun. Is that like the summer version of NIPS?
NIPS? I don't know what NIPS is. What's NIPS?
Neuroscience, information processing, something. I think it's
Maybe.
Always in December.
It's a week long, and I think it's a little different because this is actually a workshop. So you basically go there and you actually program stuff yourself instead of going and watching a bunch of talks or listening to a bunch of talks.
Yeah, I think that's what NIPS is in December.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's like mid to late December. I think I want to say it's always in Tahoe. And I go maybe every other time they have it. It's it's got some good stuff, and there's some hardcore people, which is nice in terms of what it is and how they run it. But if guys like I think Terry Sinyowski ran it last year or the year before as the host. And, it doesn't get too much bigger in cognitive neuroscience, I think, than him. At least that I'm aware of. but I only see a small tent.
Yeah, I'm trying to branch out and get connections so I can finally get a job when I graduate.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
what kind are you looking for, like industry or like research?
Oh man, the more I do, the more I teach, the more I don't want to teach. I guess
Okay.
that's I don't know. So right now, one of my friends is trying to get me into finance and sell my soul to Wall Street.
Wall Street.
But we'll see. I have a possible postdoc position at it's Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Institute, but I don't think they pay them the money.
Yeah, no, their funding is usually pretty low. I know a couple postdocs out there who they like what they're doing, but they wish they weren't postdocs.
Yeah.
And what's that? They're up in Seattle too, right?
Yeah.
Like cold and wet and rainy.
All the rain.
Look up Terry Siniowski at the Salk Institute in La Jolla.
Terry.
At least you'll have sand and sun and surf.
Wait, who is this again?
Terry.
Yeah.
Senjowski.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I think he's doing research kind of in that area, that wheelhouse.
Ah,
You could do
computational
worse than being
neurobiology.
if you're willing to go to FHRC. I got all those acronyms in the right order. Salk can't be worse.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I don't know a lot about it, so I'm probably not going to get a job there.
Well, the other place that's that I know is like a hotbed of that kind of research is Woods Hole in Massachusetts or Maine, up there in the like northeast.
Yeah. Well, that's not actually my area of study. I'm just going to go.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe I will. We'll see.
Trying to think of other. Well, what is your area?
Right now, it's kind of vague. I study numerical methods for differential equations. So, like, the only stuff I've published is, I mean, you think being a numerical analyst, you code a lot, but not what I do. So, let me see. There's something called non-standard finite difference methods. They're kind of like standard finite difference methods. You just instead of stepping through time like you normally would, you step through it. You just kind of like change the way you do your time steps, and it turns out that you can actually preserve some really nice things from your original numerical or differential equations that you normally don't with like Runge-Kutta methods or something.
Yeah.
So like it does. For instance, you can create a method that you can choose any time step you want. It doesn't matter, and it's always going to converge to the equilibrium of your system. So it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I do.
Finance.
Yeah. But and then my advisors just told me, hey, here's a conference or workshop you should go to. And I told them okay. And so now I'm going to a computational neuroscience conference or workshop.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other stuff that's. One of my favorites is there's a group in like crazy nowhere Canada called BIRS.
Yeah.
Website is birs.ca. They do small custom mini workshops, usually for 10 to 40 people, and they have their own conference center in the far mountains of Banff, Canada. But you can skim through their website and go back, a year or more, and they typically do live streaming video of all their conferences and archive the video, so you can go back and kind of relive most of the conference stuff except the socializing portions.
Right. That's kind of cool. was
But if you're not sure where you want to go and what you can apply some of that stuff to, go look at past conferences because they usually do week-long stuff, every week of the year except maybe one or two. But they've got more really good math, but it's graduate level and above,
right.
cutting edge stuff. The other thing you might want to play around with it if you're even half contemplating the finance side as it applies to some of the stuff you're doing. I've seen, not anything specific to that, but I've seen a lot of interesting application of complexity theory to economics in the last year or two. And some of that stuff's been going on a while. But I've read, in the last year, I've read almost everything Nicholas Nassim Taleb has written on probability theory and economics. And there's some fun, interesting stuff there that I don't know how you'd find a job doing it, but I have a feeling some of those big finance banks would pay people who know what's going on in those areas and have the math skills.
Right.
Quant out.
And then go do the quant thing or go into risk or something. I don't know. And if you're curious here, this is actually my really crappy website that I made using WordPress and something else. You can check out. I actually put my preprints. I only have 2 papers though, but they're up there.
What's the website?
I put it in the group chat.
Oh. Whoever looks at the group chat?
I don't know. Who looks in the group chat? And get all my specifics of who.
Oh, how pretty.
Don't click on the blog though. I haven't put anything in there.
Did you just redo this full website in the last few weeks?
No. It's the homepage is kind of screwy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I see the about page is drastically different.
Yeah, it's well, one's just a random thing that has no relevance, like the homepage, and then about me is using the WordPress.
Yeah.
Because I'm lazy and I don't know JavaScript or HTML that well.
Well, are you self-hosting it or is it WordPress.com?
So I'm not using WordPress, but it's WordPress client.
Okay.
It's my own website though.
Therapeutic reasons.
Yeah. I was going to write in it one of these days. I actually had an idea. I woke up 2 days ago thinking about topology. I don't know why, and look,
That's what you...
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not gonna. Maybe I'll write something in it one day.
Well, I
just got very busy.
I use mine more as a commonplace book. So I'll write down interesting quotes that I read along the way. I actually use the back end of WordPress a lot more, and I save thoughts and ideas as drafts. And then I have got the ability to search by category or by tag. So I've got like 150 drafts of things, half written or in chunks. And usually during a week I'll spend 1 or 2 hours working on one or more drafts of longer form things to publish off in the future. Or I'll use my WordPress site as a kind of like a pseudo notebook, and publish links and other odd random things, usually within an area of categories.
Yeah.
And it's to me, that's almost kind of therapeutic. But then when you sit back and you look at the volumes of things you publish even over the span of a year, and how your thoughts interrelate as you're going forward, it's actually a pretty good thinking tool.
Yeah.
And once in a blue moon, somebody actually reads the damn thing, and you get an interesting comment, or somebody will send you an email with some interesting stuff. That's been vaguely, entertaining to have had it for a while. So.
Yeah.
But if you need questions or have questions or need help,
All right.
been beating on mine for quite a while.
Yeah. Eventually, I was gonna make a neural network for predicting a stock price, but I know the basics of how to do it, and that's kind of what I was gonna do next after at least whenever I find some free time between all this crap. Maybe that'll get people to like, hey, I'll hire this guy. He's done some work on it. But really, that kind of stuff, it didn't really seem too difficult when I was reading through it all. I don't know. Maybe it's more difficult than I'm making it out, or than I'm looking at it to see. But yeah, I mean, I've made some neural networks for things, but not for this specific. Anyway, I think we've been chatting for about
too long. Yeah, it's time to
30
go.
minutes or so, and actually I had to get some work done. Let's see.
All right. Well, if I think of anything, I'll send you a note.
Alrighty, that sounds great.
All right.
Neural networks and economics are, spend some time, surf around on the Santa Fe Institute's website.
Yeah.
They got some good stuff.
All right, cool. I'll do that.
That's they're at the bleeding edge of some of that, especially the complexity theory portion. But they've got guys doing both neural network related stuff as well as economics related stuff. So there's not a lot of places doing that I'm aware of. All right. Well, we'll catch you turkeys next week. Same bad place, same bad time, if you're available.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I should be there. All right.
Catch you the week after. It's good to see you, Aaron. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Thanks for sitting.
If you're still listening, we're sorry we missed you. All right. Bye, guys.
All right. See you.